Happy Tuesday, all you minties! The trade paperback overviews are back. Well, I slipped in an oversized hardcover, but hey, the segment is back! So, Uncanny Omar here. Let's go ahead and talk about some of these Marvel collected editions that are coming out this week. Let's do this thing. And before getting started, I want to give a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advance copies of these books. All these books are due out in the direct market and book market on June 7th or 8th, depending on where you get your books. So we have a Mighty Marvel Masterworks, 2 covers, same book, an Epic Collection, and an oversized hardcover from the Dawn of X era. Again, if you're just interested in some of these books, I always put the timestamps in the description of the video so you can jump around just to check out the books you want to check out, or in case you don't like any spoilers at all. But let's go ahead and get started. We'll do a quick little overview of the Captain America Volume 1. So here we have the standard edition cover that they've always done for these Mighty Marvel Masterworks by Michael Cho, and then the classic cover here by Jack Kirby. And also the spines are different for these books. You have the Mighty Marvel Masterworks Captain America, whereas here you just have Captain America and then the title of the book, and that being the Sentinel of Liberty. The backs are also a little bit different, and that's basically here with the limited edition. This is a limited edition. This is a volume 13 if you're collecting all the Mighty Marvel Masterworks, whereas here you just get a volume 1. And then, of course, what's collected in here, this tells you Tales of Suspense, 59 through 77. The retail price for these is $15.99. Like I said, if you want a more in-depth review, my kids and my wife and I, the Near Mint family, will probably do an overview sometime here in the next coming week or so. I know my kids, I think, are halfway done through the book. But this does collect the appearances of Captain America from Tales of Suspense, 59, when he was sharing the title with Iron Man. So what's important to note about this is that this doesn't go from his Golden Age appearance. It starts in the Silver Age after he comes back in Avengers issue number 4. Whenever they find his body frozen in ice, that's when this adventure continues. So it doesn't have anything from the Avengers in here. It just has the Tales of Suspense issues, retelling his origin, and of course a lot of stuff in here by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And both of these books are identical, and like I mentioned, 216 pages. As far as the extras in the back, they always put in a couple of extras, like this right here, original artwork. That's awesome, by Jack Kirby and Chick Stone. And then another one by Jack Kirby and Dick Ayers. And then, of course, the other covers for some other Mighty Marvel Masterworks. I love this series. Alright, next up is The Invincible Iron Man, Volume 5, Battle Royale. So, from the years 1972 to 1974. I love it. There for a while, there was this conspiracy. I don't know if y'all remember or not, or how long you've been collecting these things. Amongst the epic collectors, that Marvel refused to do any 70s collected editions. I don't know why it was a conspiracy. I think it was just that they hadn't gotten around to it, maybe? I don't know. But regardless, hey, we're here in the 70s now. Here are your main creators. Roy Thomas, of course, kicking it off with an awesome retelling of the origin. Why must there be an Iron Man? And then, of course, Mike Friedrich takes over the book. Jim Starlin coming in with the first appearance of a few characters you may recognize. Bill Everett co-writing that Namor issue. And then Steve Gerber wrapping up the series, or this particular collection. George Tuska here, Barry Windsor-Smith reuniting with Roy Thomas, Jim Starlin, P. Craig Russell, and John Romita. Here's all your inkers, mainly Mike Esposito and Vince Colletta, and letterers like Art Simic. So yeah, let's talk about this book here, kicking it off with issue number 47 of The Invincible Iron Man. So this collects The Invincible Iron Man 47 to 67. The book has 448 pages. And it retails for, I think this one is $39.99. Yes, this one is $39.99. I know some of them have gone up to $44.99. So this does kick off with a retelling of the origin of Iron Man. I think this is a really interesting take on it. But again, mainly because of Barry Windsor Smith's artwork. And it leaves Tony still asking the question, why must there be an Iron Man? I love that about this issue. And Roy Thomas filling in this issue here to make way for the new writer, which comes in the very next month. The next issue where we have Firebrand here, and that is Mike Friedrich. He's the new writer on the book. So this is a pretty interesting time for Iron Man. I guess it never is not an interesting time for Tony Stark and his love life. But now he has a fiancée named Marianne Rogers, and she has ESP powers. And one of the things that she keeps seeing is the death of Iron Man, whether it's by these Adaptoid there or a couple of other characters that just show up. She keeps seeing the death of him. And now she's having issues, staying with somebody that she knows is going to die. So, of course, that causes some problems. I do love the design of the cyborg Sinister here, which is one that she keeps seeing over and over in her head. Now, if you're a fan of the movies, you may be asking, wait a minute, isn't he supposed to be with Pepper Potts? Why isn't he as slick as Robert Downey Jr.? Comic books are a little bit different, especially back then. The movies are their own thing and comics are their own thing. And I'm okay with that. A lot of us are okay with that. Some people expect the same thing out of both and are highly disappointed when they are not the same thing. Where is the issue I'm trying to find? So we do have an interesting issue here. Here's the battle with Namor. This is George Tuska penciling this right here. This is a Clash of Titans. This is Vince Colletta supplying the artwork. And you can tell the differences when Vince Colletta supplies the artwork as opposed to... Alright, this is the issue I wanted to talk about. Issue 54, The Clash of Titans. George Tuska supplying the pencils, Vince Colletta supplying the inks, and you can tell the differences when Vince Colletta is supplying the inks compared to Mike Esposito. So, the thing I was going to say is that this is also the first appearance of this lady right here, Madame McEvil. And I swear, that's her name. That's what she calls herself. Of course, this later turns out to be somebody very important to the whole Marvel universe, and I mean the Galactic universe, the Cosmic Saga, and that is Moondragon. She makes her first appearance here as Madame McEvil. I don't know why she won't go back to that. I think that's a better name for you, Heather. Seriously, that's an awesome name. And then, of course, we get Jim Starlin coming in with the plot pencils and then inks for this right here, issue 55. Which is not only the first appearance of the Blood Brothers. I know. People get excited about that. But Drax the Destroyer. This guy right here sitting in a chair. Who we'll see in a little bit. But also, you have Mentor, Arrows, Star Fox right here. And, of course, Thanos. This is the big issue. Believe it or not, it's in Iron Man, not in any of the cosmic books that Thanos makes his first appearance. Right here. Stepping on Iron Man's poor hand, looking like this. And that is his first full appearance of Thanos. Now, of course, Jim Starlin takes that character off and, does his own thing in the Captain Marvel series and the Warlock series. And, of course, even in the Infinity Gauntlet, which comes years later. But now Steve Gerber has taken over the book. And this here feels more like a soap opera. This half of the book. We have the return of Mandarin. But on top of the returning villains, remember when I said he had a fiancée? Well, he still has feelings for Pepper Potts. And why wouldn't you? Pepper looking all good and stuff in that black shirt. But at this time, Pepper's married to his best friend, Happy, and they haven't seen each other for a while. By the way, Marianne is still in the back here trying to figure things out, what to do with Tony. And Happy leaves Pepper Potts. Like, he leaves her. And Iron Man, Tony still has feelings for her. So, of course, there's miscommunication. It becomes a love triangle because then Happy comes back and he's like, wait, I do want to work things out with you, Pepper. And she's like, but I'm making out with Tony because you left me. And Tony's like, hey, man, it's free game, baby. You left. You were in a different area code. People still use area codes? Is that still a thing? Anyway, but that was kind of the thing that was going on here. Tony Stark still has strong feelings for her. We have the Mass Marauder here, the return of the Mass Marauder. But honestly, even though we have all the superheroic fights here, this reads more like a soap opera. And for someone like me, I happen to love that. I love soap opera, drama in my comics. The more, the better. Misunderstandings, people just, you can fix something by just talking about it. Nope, not in here. This is it. This is what you get. But I did want to come back here. We also have the return of Whiplash in here. And then we have this 4-part story arc all the way in the back, which is the fight against Dr. Spectrum. I thought this was a very excellent read right here. Because I'll be honest, like, Volume 4 of Iron Man, I could see why the title was rumored to be not canceled, but joined with Daredevil for one comic, just because both titles weren't selling that well. But honestly, I think this volume was better than Volume 4. I think at that time they were just gathering whomever they could. Now they almost had a plan. They were thinking, okay, we'll get Mike Friedrich to come in, and Mike Friedrich was young. I think he was in his early 20s when he wrote these issues of Iron Man, and had already worked at DC Comics. And then you have Steve Gerber come in. Now, George Tuska was a legend already. Like, he had been drawing for Fawcett Comics. But what I was saying is that, yeah, it felt like Volume 4 of the Epic Collection, just lots of misses, not enough hits. Whereas this picks it up again. I like that about these particular stories here towards the back issues. 63 through 66, I believe, are the ones that are with Dr. Spectrum. I thought they were done really well. And then we get the issue 67, this one right here. And this one serves as a wrap-up of some plot lines from the previous story arc. And it brings back the Freak. But, yeah, I think this was an enjoyable collection compared to the previous volume. So, if you were thinking about, stopping to read Iron Man because Volume 4 wasn't for you, and there is that weird era between the classic Iron Man stuff by Stan Lee and the Bob Layton, David Michelinie era, the Dennis O'Neil era, where at least for me, I hadn't read a lot of that stuff. As a matter of fact, I'd only read a couple of these issues in the past. Mainly, of course, the Thanos one that's been collected over and over again, the fight with Namor, but a couple of others in here that I just had single issues of when I was a kid. Like I always liked Firebrand's outfit. And all I'm saying is just stick with it in case you were thinking about dropping it. All right, let's get to the extras in the back. So we do have some extras right here. Original pages right there by Jim Mooney, who's inking on top of Barry Windsor Smith. The fight here between Namor and Iron Man by, of course, George Tuska and Vince Colletta. Original artwork here by, Jim Starlin. Inks by Mike Esposito. I'm sorry, I think I misspoke. I said that Jim Starlin inked it. I guess I was so used to him inking his own stuff. But it was Mike Esposito that inked his artwork. Here's a John Romita piece right here by Mike Esposito, the cover to issue 65. And then the original art for the cover to issue 67 by Gil Kane and Mike Esposito. The book has 448 pages. I love that piece right here. Yes, this right here. There's just so much drama right there. Because I rejected her love. I denied her powers. Oh, I love that. The book has 448 pages. And again, retails for $39.99. And of course, what all of the spines look like together. So, here you go. Pause, like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. But let's keep this party going. And we're going to start over here today, because people always ask me where I put my oversized hardcovers, what order. So I'm going to put it right here after Marauders, before Wolverine. The other thing I want you to note is the difference in the spine. This is more of an red-orange as opposed to the red that's on Wolverine, or even the red shade that they use on the X-Men Omnibus here. But this is this is more of a tan orange, and this is more of a red orange here. So it does stand out. But this is the way that I have them on my shelf. So here we have X-Force, the oversized hardcover, Volume 1. Let's get this out of its dust jacket. This one, most of these have like a teen plus or a teen rating. This one has a parental advisory. And we'll talk about why here in a little bit. But yes, this is what the design of the spine looks like, including the flaps right there. Telling you a little bit about what X-Force is, and then the creators behind X-Force. So let's go ahead and get this opened. Some black in paper there. X-Force, written by Benjamin Percy, art by Joshua Casara, Steven Segovia, and Jan Bazaldua. The colors are done by Dean White, Guru FX, and Rochelle Rosenberg. And then the lettering by Joe Caramagna. And the cover art is by Dustin Weaver and Edgar Delgado. And here, again, is the design of the inside, which is very similar to the inside of all the OHCs. So this is what the internal artwork looks like. Now, I am going to stop here. In case you haven't read anything from this era of X-Men post House and Powers of X, and you don't know what the new status quo is for X-Men, you may have seen memes, or you may have read that, oh yeah, they're living on their own nation, that's cool. But there are a couple of other things I have to mention here that are very crucial to this particular story, and why it's important to have this. So just in case, maybe put me on mute if you don't know, or you don't want to know. But if you know, or you don't care about spoilers, then by all means, keep going. So, just in case, I am going to talk just a little bit about spoilers of the Dawn of X era, and one thing in particular that happens here at the end of issue 1 that kind of propels the story here forward. All right, ready? Time. I'll put a timestamp. So, here we have X-Force. Now, we've had a need for X-Force for a long time. It all started with the idea of Rob Liefeld coming into the Marvel Comics and Louise Simonson's run on New Mutants. Rob Liefeld thought, hey, it would be really cool if we take this book that features characters like Bird Brain and Boom Boom, and we make it into like a militant type of group. We introduce this character named Cable. He can lead them because he knows that he comes from a horrible future and he wants to prevent that from happening. And Louis Simonson was like, no, that's ridiculous. And the editors at Marvel are like, well, he is selling the book because of his art. So, despite of how people feel about Liefeld's art, that's exactly how X-Force happened. Chime in, Fabian Nicieza to do the script, and so long Louis Simonson. But that's just business, it's comics. Fast forward a few years later, X-Force got canceled, became Ecstatics. Then we had something called X-Force come back under Colin Yost. During that era of the Messiah complex, the Messiah trilogy had the Colin Yost era. They were more of a Black Ops team than a militant team that Cable was leading. They were more like hush hush. Hey, we're going to put all our killers on one team and we'll make them do missions that, we don't want to do because we're X-Men, we're good. Now, at that time, Beast was like, no way, that's messed up. That goes against our code, Cyclops. This is wrong. I'm stepping away from the X-Men. Toodles. I don't think anyone says Toodles, but that was just my recap of that. Then, of course, after that, we had Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender. It was, again, a Black Ops team, this time with the addition of Deadpool. And then we had a couple of X-Force books after that, Cable and X-Force. X-Force kept coming back. Now it's back and focused to that kind of like a CIA/Black Ops team. And leading this particular team is Beast. That's why I thought it would be important to kind of give you a quick little history on the X-Force. Yes, the same Beast that walked away from Cyclops because he created a Black Ops team and it goes against everything they believe. All right, so that's one thing that I might spoil for you. It's the characterization of Beast. And I've always had an issue with the way that he's written in this particular book. So what happens here? What drives them to make a Black Ops team? Well, it all happens in issue number 1. We find out that there's a secret society of humans that just want to wipe out humans because, hey, that's what humans do. They want to wipe out mutant kind. So this time around, they hire a bunch of assassins and they do an assassination attempt on Professor Xavier. This is where the spoiler comes in. And they successfully assassinate Professor X. In the first issue, Professor X gets killed. Shot in the head. So long. Goodbye. Issue 2 then is, okay, we got to do something about this. We can't let assassins just come and kill mutant kind. That's not what this is about. We are making an X-Force, and this time led by the smartest people. So you have Sage, and you have Beast, and you have Jean Grey, and then we need some killers. We need some strong, big guns. And of course, Wolverine, Kid Omega, Domino is there. Domino this time is being tortured, and Colossus. And that's pretty much the team. Now, the other important thing, the other spoiler is, of course, that this is an era of X-Men where nobody can really die. They have defeated death. I'm not going to spoil how. That's all found in the pages of House and Powers of X. So even though Professor X gets shot, worry not. It's the Dawn of X era. He's going to come back. But anyway, this collects the first 12 issues of this particular run. This book is 336 pages, and it retails for $39.99. This is what some of the artwork looks like. So that's basically it. They're a Black Ops / CIA team that goes after the bad guys before the bad guys come after them. There are a couple of things that I've enjoyed about this because, okay, the idea of resurrection is there. I mean, it's in your face all over the X books during this time. But nobody really talks about, like, taking a bullet. Like, we got to get out of this situation. Let's go ahead and kill ourselves, and then we'll come back with all the memories of pain. And that's what happens here. And it's like, damn, that is dark. Like, it's suggested by one of the characters. Instead of being tortured, let's kill ourselves. We'll come back. And we'll have the memories of all this pain, but we'll come back better. Now we can come after these bad guys. There's a crossover here with Empire, so that's why you see a lot of the plant creatures in Black Tom Cassidy play a bigger role. And then the second arc is more about Domino, honestly, kind of a character study on her. And who is that lady? Well, you can find out yourself. Now, you don't need to have read anything from the other X-Force runs. I think the main thing is just that Colossus and Domino kind of had a thing going for a while. And there is something interesting that happens. This is the garden right here with the plant god. There is something interesting that happens here towards the end. And something that really pissed me off. But I'm not going to reveal what that is. But yeah, it's the return of a character we hadn't seen for a while. A villain. Colossus has found peace because he doesn't want to live that life anymore. I thought that was very fitting for that character. So he just wants to become a farmer. He wants to be left alone. Domino's still trying to recruit him. But I really like all of this. I thought this was a nice touch. Yeah. But this is the type of artwork in here. This is the type of stories. There's going to be a lot of violence. That's why you see the parental advisory. A lot of headshots, a lot of blood, and a lot of torture in here. So just bear that in mind. So let's look at the extras in the back. Then we'll talk about the binding. So the extras in the back, like the trade paperbacks, have the full splash page of the covers. And this is what all the covers look like here. It's one from issue 12. And then you get the variant covers too. Most of them are in splash pages. I think I saw, maybe it was in the other book I was looking at. I saw some that were thumbnails. And then you get some internal artwork, original artwork here by Joshua Casada. Now, let's talk about this binding. So the book has 336 pages. It is sewn binding, and it lays over good. I don't have an issue with the way that it lays over. It is printed at the iMac printer, which I find interesting because I don't think they've been printing these oversized hardcovers over there. I've seen them at the Sheridan printer and the Donley printer. So I think this might, and please correct me if I'm wrong, this might be the first time that the iMac printer has printed an oversized hardcover from the Dawn of X era. I could be wrong. But I'm sure you noticed that the paper, it is a little bit thinner than something like the Inferno oversized hardcover or Cable for that matter. It feels like the same kind of paper that they used for the... I don't know. It feels like the paper that they used for the JMS Spider-Man Omnibus reprint. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count, and of course the build of the oversized hardcover. for this week's books. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you're picking up. If you're picking up the Epic Collections of Iron Man, and that is the way you're collecting his run, or you're hoping one day there's going to be an omnibus. What you think about this particular title from the Dawn of X era. And yeah, let me know about the Mighty Marvel Masterworks. My kids are enjoying these. They've read, I think, half of the Captain America so far. So keep an eye out on the channel for that video. But let me know if any kids in your family are reading these, or if you yourself are buying these. I would love to know all those comments down below. If you have any more questions, leave your questions down below. This was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We are on Spreadshop and Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. And more importantly, everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.